night in a small town, starless, Bible black. Cobble streets, silent and hunched. Quarters and rabbit's wood, limping invisible down to the slow black, crow black, fishing boat, bobbing sea. The houses are blind as moles. The moles see fine tonight in the snouting velvet dingles, or blind as Captain Cat, there in the muffled middle by the pump and the town clock. The shops in mourning, the welfare hall and widow's weeds, all the people of the lulled and dumbfound town are sleeping now. Hush. The babies are sleeping. The farmers, the fishers, the tradesmen and pensioners, cobbler, schoolteacher, postman, and publican, the undertaker and the fancy woman, drunkard, dressmaker, preacher, policeman, the webfoot cockle women and the tidy wives. Young girls lie bedded soft, or glide in their dreams with rings and trousseau, bridesmaided by glowworms down the aisles of the organ-playing wood. The boys are dreaming wicked, or of the bucking ranches of the night and the Jolly Roger Sea. The anthracite statues of the horses sleep in the fields, the cows in the fires, and the dogs in the wet-nosed yards, and the cats nap in the slant corners, or look sly, streaking and kneeling over the one cloud of the roofs.
You can hear the dew falling, and the hushed town breathing. Listen. It is night, moving in the streets. The processional, thought-slow musical wind in Coronation Street and Cockrell Road. It is the grass growing on Sherego Hill, dewfall, starfall, sleep of birds in Milk Wood.
It is night in the chill, squat chapel, hymning in bonnet and brooch and bombazine black, butterfly choker, bootlace bow, coughing like nanny goats, sucking mintoes, 40-winking, hallelujah! Night in the four ale, quiet as a domino, in dyed red's bakery, flying like black flour. It is tonight in Donkey Street, trotting silent with seaweed on its hooves, along the cockled cobbles past curtained fern pot, text and trinket, harmonium, holy dresser, watercolours done by hand, china dog and rosy tin tea caddy. It is night, neddying among the snuggeries of babies.
Look, it is night, dumbly, royally winding through Coronation cherry trees, going through the graveyards of Bethesda with wings gloved and folded, and dew doffed, tumbling by the sailor's arms.
Time passes.
Listen. Time passes.
Come closer now. Only you can hear the houses as they sleep in the streets, in the slow, deep, salt and silent, black, bandaged night. Only you can see behind the blinded bedrooms, the combs, the petticoats over the chairs, the jugs and basins, the glasses of teeth. Thou shalt not on the wall, and the yellowing dicky bird watching pictures of the dead.
Only you can hear and see behind the eyes of the sleepers the movements and countries and mazes and colours and dismays and rainbows and tunes and wishes and flight and fall and despair and big seas of their dreams.
Captain Cat, the retired blind sea captain, asleep in his bunk in the seashell, ship-bin-bottled, ship-shape, best cabin of schooner house, dreams of never such seas as any that swamp the decks of his SS Kidwelly, bellying over the bedclothes, a jellyfish slippery, sucking him down, salt deep, into the day dark, where the fish come biting out and nibble him down to his wishbone, and the long brow nuzzle to him. Remember me, Captain? You're dancing, Williams. I lost my step in Nantucket. Do you see me, Captain? The white moon talking. I'm Tom Fred the Donkey Man. We shared the same girl once. Her name was Mrs. Probert.
Rosie Stoner, 33 Duck Lane. Come on up, boys. I'm dead.
Hold me, Captain. I'm Jonah Jarvis, come to a bad end. Very enjoyable. Alfred Pomeroy Jones, sea lawyer, born in Mumbles, sung like a linnet, crowned you with a flagon, tattooed with mermaids, burst like a drencher, died of blisters. Kelly Bever, tell thy auntie 'twas he that bought the Ormolu Club. Aye, Curly. How is it above? Is there rum and lava bread, bosoms and droppings, concertinas and Ebenezer's bell, fighting on onions, and sparrows and daisies, tiddlers in a jam jar, and buttermilk and whippets, rock-a-bye baby, and washing of the line, and old girls in the snug. How's the terracing down ice? Who milks the cows in my spring? When she smiles, is there dimples?
Come on up, boys.
Oh, my dead dears.
From where you are, you can hear in Coronation Street, Miss Price, dressmaker and street shopkeeper, dream of Hello, tall town clock tower, Samson syrup gold mange, whacking siphon, piping hot, vendible face and barnacle breast, flaying up the cockles in his eye, like blown out, and scooping low over her lonely, loving, hot water bottled body.
Mavani Price.
Mr. North Edwards!
I am a draper, mad with love. I love you more than all the flannel and calico, Candlewick, dimity, crush and merino, tesore, cretone, crepon, muslin, poplin, tinkin, twill, in the whole couple of the world. I have come to take you away to my emporium on the hill, where the change hums on wires. Throw away your little bed socks and your Welsh wool knitted jacket. I will warm the sheets like an electric toaster. I will lie by your side like a Sunday roast.
I will knit you a wallet of forget-me-not blue for the memory to be comfy. I will warm your heart by the fire so you can slip it under your nest when the shop is closed.
Oh, Mavani, before the mice gnaw at your bottom drawer, will you say?
Yes, Morgan. Yes, boss. Yes.
And all the bells of all the tills of the town shall ring for our wedding.
Come now, drift up the dark, Jack Black the cobbler's shop, where alone and savagely Jack Black sleeps in a nightshirt tied to his ankles with elastic, and dreams of
chasing the naughty couples down a grass green, gooseberry double bed of the wood, flocking the tosspots in the spit and sawdust, chasing at the bare, bold girls from the six-berry box of his nightmares. Huckabee! Huckabee! Huckabee!
And in the little pink-eyed cottage next to the undertaker's lie, alone, the 17 snoring, gentle stone of Mr. Waldo. Rabbit catcher, barber, herbalist, cat doctor, quack. His fat pink hands palm that over the edge of the patchwork quilt. His black boots neat and tidy in the washing basin. His bowler on a nail above the bed. A milk stout and a slice of cold bread pudding under the pillow. And dripping in the dark, he dreams of this little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed at home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had sandwich. And this little piggy cried all the way home to Waldo, Waldo.
Yes, Bloodwind, love.
Oh, what do the neighbors say? What do the neighbors?
Poor Mrs. Waldo.
What she puts up with.
Never should have married.
She didn't have to.
Same as her mother.
There's a husband for you.
Bad as his father.
And you know where he ended.
Up in the asylum.
Crying for his ma.
Every Saturday.
He hasn't got a leg.
But carrying on.
That Mrs. Beachy Morris.
Up in the quarry.
I've seen her, baby.
It's got his nose.
Oh, it makes my heart bleed.
What do you do for drink?
He sold the pianola.
And a sewing machine.
Falling in the gutter.
Talking to lampposts.
Using language.
Poor Mrs. Waldo.
Waldo.
Hush, love, hush. I'm widow of Waldo, you know.
Waldo! Waldo!
Yes, our man.
Oh, what do the neighbors say? What do the neighbors?
Black as a chimney.
Ringing doorbells.
Breaking windows.
Making mud pies.
Stealing current.
Talking words.
Sewing in the bushes.
Saying nothing.
Sending to bed without any settlement.
Giving Xenophon and locking in the dark.
Off to the reformatory.
Off to the reformatory.
Standing with a slipper on his beaky hand.
Waldo! Waldo, what are you doing with our Matty?
Oh, give us a kiss, Matty Richards.
Give us a penny then.
I only got 80.
Lips is a penny.
Oh. Will you take this woman, Matty Richards? It's up to you, Pa. To be your awful wedded wife. No! No! No!
Now, in her iceberg white, holily laundered crinoline nightgown, and a virtuous polar sheet, in her spruced and scoured, dust-defying bedroom, in trig and trim bay view, a house for paying guests at the top of the town.
Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, widow, twice, of
Mr. Ogmore, linoleum, retired.
and
Mr. Pritchard, failed bookmaker, maddened by the zooming, swabbing and scrubbing, the voice of the vacuum cleaner on a fume of polish, ironically swallowed disinfectant.
fidgets in her rinsed sleep, wakes in a dream, and nudges in the ribs.
Dead, Mr. Ogmore. Dead, Mr. Pritchard.
Ghostly on either side. Mr. Ogmore? Mr. Pritchard? It's time to inhale your balsam.
Oh, Mrs. Ogmore. Oh, Mrs. Pritchard.
Soon it will be time to get up. Tell me your tasks. In order.
I must put my pajamas in the drawer marked pajamas. I must take my cold bath, which is good for me. I must wear my flannel band to ward off sciatica. I must dress behind the curtain and put on my apron. I must blow my afterwards burn. I must take my salts, which are nature's friend. I must boil the drinking water because of germs. I must make my herb tea, which is free from tannin. And have a charcoal biscuit, which is good for me. I may smoke one pipe of asthma mixture.
In the woodshed, if you please.
And dust the parlour and spray the canary. I must put on the rubber gloves and search the beak for fleas. I must dust the blinds, and then I must raise them.
And before you let the sun in, mind it wipes its shoes. In Butcher Vinans,
Gossamer Binders, daughter, school teacher, dreaming deep, daintily ferries under a fluttering hummock of chicken feathers. In a slaughterhouse that has chintz curtains and a three-piece suite.
and finds, with no surprise, a small, rough, ready man with a bushy tail, winking in a paper carrier.
At last, my love.
Sighs Gossamer Vinan, and the bushy tail wags rude and ginger.
Organ Morgan the organist cries
Help!
in his dream.
There is perturbation and music in Coronation Street. All the spouses are honking like geese, and the babies are singing opera. The cows from Sunday Meadow ring like reindeer. And on the roof of Handel Villa C, the women's welfare, hoofing, bloom in the moon.
In Salt Lake Farm, Utah Watkins counts all night the white-faced sheep as they leave the fences on the hill, smiling and knitting and bleating, just like Mrs. Utah Watkins.
34, 35, 36, 48, 89.
Knit one, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over.
Cherry Owen lifts the tankard to his lips, but nothing flows out of it.
He shakes the tankard.
It turns into a fish.
He drinks the fish.
Cherry Owen, postman, asleep up street.
Walks 14 miles to deliver the post, as he does every day of the night. And rat-a-tat, hard and sharp on Mississippi.
Don't spank me, please, teacher.
Whimpers his wife at his side. As every night of her married life, she has been late for school.
Sinbad Sailors, in his bedroom above the tap room of the Sailor's Arms, hugs his damp pillow, whose secret name is Gossamer Vinan.
My foxy darling.
Mrs. Rose Cottage's eldest, May, peels off her pink and white skin. In a tower, in a furnace, in a cave, in a waterfall, in a wood, and waits there, raw as an onion, for Mr. Right to leap up the burning, tall, hollow slashes of leaves, like a brilliantly trout.
Call me Dolores, like they do in the stories.
Alone until she dies. Bessie Bighead, hired help, born in the workhouse and smelling of the cowshed, snores bass and gruff on a couch of straw in a loft in Salt Lake Farm, and picks a posy of daisies in Sunday Meadow to put on the grave of Gomer Owen, who kissed her once by the pigsty when she wasn't looking, and never kissed her again, although she was looking all the time.
And the effects of cruelty fly down into Mrs. Butcher Vinan's dream to persecute Mr. Vinan for selling
Owl meat, dog's eyes, and man chop.
Mr. Vinan in butcher's bloodied apron, spring heels down Coronation Street, a finger, not his own, in his mouth. Straight-faced in his cunning sleep, he pulls the legs of his dreams and,
hunting on pigback, shoots down the wild giblets.
now behind the eyes and secrets of the dreamers in the street, rocked asleep by the sea, see their
Tidbits and topsy-turvies, bobs and button-tops, bags and bones, ash and rind and dandruff and nail parings, saliva and snowflakes, and the molted feathers of dreams, the wrecks and sprats and shells and fish bones, and small salt fry dished up by the hidden sea.
The owls are hunting. Look! Over Bethesda gravestones, one hoops and swoops and catches a mouse by Hannah Reese, beloved wife. And in Coronation Street, the Reverend Eli Jenkins, poet, preacher, turns in his deep towards dawn sleep and dreams of
It's death that dies.
Mr. Pugh, schoolmaster, fathoms asleep, pretends to be sleeping, spies foxy round the droop of his nightcap, and whistles a murder!
Mrs. Organ Morgan, groceress, coiled grey like a dormouse, her paws to her ears conjures.
Silence!
She sleeps very dulcet in a cove of wool, and trumpeting Organ Morgan at her side snores no louder than a spider. Mary Ann Sailors dreams of...
The Garden of Eden!
She comes in her smock frock and clogs,
Away from the cool, scrubbed, cobbled kitchen, with the Sunday school pictures on the whitewashed walls, and the farmer's almanac hung above the settle, and the sides of bacon on the ceiling hooks, and goes down the cockle-shelled paths of that apple pie kitchen garden, ducking under the Jibbo's clothes pegs, catching her apron on the blackcurrant bushes, past bean rows, onion bed, and tomatoes ripening on the wall, towards the old man playing the harmonium in the orchard. He sits down on the grass at his side and shells the green peas that grow up through the lap of her frock that brushes the dew.
in Donkey Street, so furred with sleep, die bread.
Polly Garter
No good boyer.
and Lord Cutglass sigh before the dawn that is about to be, and dream of
Harems!
baby.
Nothing.
Tick-tock! 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 Tick-tock!
Time passes.
Listen. Time passes.
An owl flies home past Bethesda to a chapel in an oak, and the dawn inches up.
stand on this hill. This is Llaregreb Hill, old as the hills, and high and cool and green. And from this small circle of stones, made not by Druids, but by Mrs. Bynum's build, you can see the whole of the town below you, sleeping in the first of the dawn.
Town ripples like a lake in a waiting cave.
The principality of the sky lightens now over our green hill.
Into spring morning, laughed and crowed and bellowed.
Who pulls the town hall bell rope? The blind captain cat. One by one the sleepers are wrung out of sleep this one morning as every morning.
In Bethesda House, the Reverend Eli Jenkins gropes out of bed into his breeches black, combs back his vast white hair, forgets to wash, pads barefoot downstairs, opens the front door, and standing in the doorway, and looking out at the day and up at the eternal hill, and hearing the sea break and the gathered birds, remembers his own verses and tells them softly to empty Coronation Street that is rising and raising its blinds.
Dear Walia, I know there are towns lovelier than ours, and fairer hills, and loftier far, and groves more full of flowers, and boskier woods more blithe with spring, and bright with birds adorning, and sweeter bards than I do sing their praise this beauteous morning. Like Arder Idris, tempest torn, or Mola Ruther's glory, Carned Llewellyn, beauty born, Plinlimmon, old in story. My mountains where King Arthur dreams, by Penmaenmawr defiant. Llaregreb Hill, a molehill seems, a pygmy to a giant. By Carrick Cannon, king of time, our heron head is only a bit of stone with seaweed spread, where gulls come to be lonely. A tiny dingle is Milkwood, by Golden Grove neath Gronda, but let me choose and, oh, I should love all my life and longer to stroll among our trees and stray in Goosegog Lane, on Donkey Down, to hear the Diowi sing all day, and never, never leave the town.
The Reverend Jenkins closes the front door. His morning service is over. Mr. Pugh, in schoolhouse, takes up the morning tea to Mrs. Pugh and whispers on the stairs.
Here's your arsenic, dear, and your weed killer biscuit. I've throttled your parakeet. I've spat in the vases. I've put cheese in the mouse holes. Here's your nice tea, dear.
Too much sugar.
You haven't tasted it yet, dear.
Too much milk, then. Have Mr. Jenkins said his poetry?
Yes, dear.
Then it's time to get up. Give me my glasses. No, not my reading glasses. I want to look out. I want to see.
Yes, dear.
There's Polly Garter down on her knees, washing the front steps. She tucks her dress in her bloomers. Oh, bad bitch! She'll get herself arrested. Mark my words.
What for, dear?
For having babies.
Mary Ann Sailors opens her bedroom window above the tap room and calls out to the heavens.
I'm 8
I will say this for her, she never makes a mistake.
Says Organ Morgan at his bedroom window, playing chords on the sill to the morning fishwife gull, who heckling over Donkey Street observe.
Me, Mrs. Diebread One, Captain Shawl and no old corset. Ooh, nice to be comfy, nice to be nice. Clogging on the cobbles to stir up a neighbour. Oh, Mrs. Sarah, love, can you spare a loaf, love? Diebread forgot the bread. Ooh, there's a lovely morning. Oh, how's your boils this morning? Isn't that good news now? Makes a change to sit down, doesn't it, Mrs. Sarah?
Me, Mrs. Diebread too, gypsy to kill in a silky scarlet petticoat above my knees, dirty, pretty knees. See my body through my petticoat, brown as a berry, high-heeled shoes, with one heel missing, tortoiseshell comb in my bright, black, slinky hair. Nothing else at all but a double scent, lolling, gaudy at the sunshine, lighting up my pipe.
Me, Diebread, hurrying to the bakery, pushing my shirt tails, buttoning my waistcoat, ping! Oof, goes a button. Why can't they sew them? No time for breakfast, nothing for breakfast. There's wives for you.
Me, Lord Cutglass, in an old frock coat belonged to Eli Jenkins and a pair of postman's trousers from Bethesda Jumble, running out at all 20 o'clock. Oh, mine fair over, and running in again. Tick-tock.
Me, no good boy. Up to no good in the wash house.
Me, Polydata, and to the washing line, giving the breast in the garden to my bonny new baby. Nothing grows in our garden, only washing and babies. Where's their fathers live, my love? Over the hills and far away. You're looking up at me now. I know what you're thinking. Poor little milky creature. You're thinking you're no better than you should be, Polly. That's good enough for me. Oh, isn't life a terrible thing? Thank God.
Now, frying pans spit, kettles and cats purr in the kitchen.
The town smells of seaweed and breakfast.
Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, in smock and turban, big bezoon to engage the dust, picks at her starchless bread and sips lemon rind tea.
Mary Ann Sailors praises the Lord who made porridge.
Mr. Waldo, in bowler and pip, gobbles his bubble and squeak, and kippers, and swigs from the sauce bottle.
Mrs. Pugh nudged the salt cellar.
Mr. Pugh remembers ground glass as he juggles his omelette.
Willy-nilly postman downs his last bucket of black brackish tea and rumbles out bandy to the clucking back where the hens twitch and grieve for their tea-soaked sops.
Mrs. Willy-nilly, full of tea to her double-chinned brim, brews and bubbles over her coven of kettles on the hissing hot range, always ready to steam open the mail.
Lord Cuthbert in his ticking kitchen scampers from clock to clock, a bunch of clock keys in one hand, a fish head in the other.
Captain Cat, in his galley, blind and fine-fingered, savours his sea fry.
Mr. and Mrs. Chellioid, in their Donkey Street rooms at his bedroom, parlour, kitchen, and scullery, sit down to last night's supper of onions boiled in their overcoats, and broth of spuds and bacon rice, and leeks and bones.
See that smudge on the wall by the picture of Auntie Blossom? That's where you threw the sago. You only missed me by an inch.
I always miss Auntie Blossom too.
Remember last night? In you reeled my boy as drunk as big wet bucket and a fish pail full of stamps. And you looked at me and you said, God has come on, you said. And then over the bucket you went, sprawling and bawling, and the floor was all flagons and eels.
Was I wounded?
No, but you took off your trousers and you said, does anybody want to fight you old baboon?
Give me a kiss.
And then you sang Bread of Heaven, tenor and bass.
I always sing Bread of Heaven.
But then you did a little dance on the table.
I did.
Oh, yes, drop it, yes.
And what did I do next, my dear?
Then you cried like a baby and said you were a poor drunk orphan with nowhere to go but the grave.
And then what did I do?
Then you did a little dance on the table all over again and said you were King Solomon Owen and I was your Mrs. Sheba.
And then?
Then I got you into bed and you snored all night like a brewery. From Butcher Bynum's in Coronation Street, the smell of fried liver sidles out with onions on its breath. And in the dark breakfast room behind the shop, Mr. and Mrs. Bynum enjoy between bites their every morning hullabaloo. And Mrs. Bynum slips the gristly bits under the tasseled tablecloth to her fat cat.
She likes the liver then.
She ought to do best. It's a brother's.
Oh, to hear that. What do you think, Pusscat?
It was doctored, mind.
What's that got to do with it?
Yesterday we had more. Monday otters, Tuesday shoes. Mrs. Bynum's fat cat purrs contented and knowing under the table, safe in the knowledge Mr. Bynum is the biggest liar in town.
Don't you dare say that about Mr. Bynum. Mr. Bynum never tells a lie. Do you, Ben?
No, Bess. Now, I'm going out after the corkies with my little cleaver. Up the hill at the Sailor's Arms, Sinbad Sailors, grandson of Mary Ann Sailors, draws a pint in the sunlit bar. The ship's clock in the bar says 11:30. 11:30 is opening time.
The hands of the clock have stayed still at 11:30 for 50 years. It is always opening time in the Sailor's Arms.
Yes, to me, Sinbad.
All over the town, babies and old men are cleaned and put into broken prams and wheeled out onto sunlit cockled cobbles or out into the backyards under the dancing underclothes and left.
Noses are white, heads picked, hair combed, paws scrubbed, ears boxed, and the children shrilled off to school.
Fishermen grumble to their nets. No good boil goes out in the dingy Zanzibar, shifts the oars, drifts slowly in the dark-filled bay, and lying on his back in the unveiled water, amongst crab's legs and tangled lines, looks up at the spring sky.
I don't know who's up there, and I don't care.
And in the town, the shops squeak open. Mr. Edward, in butterfly collar and straw hat, at the doorway of Manchester House, measures with his eye the doors that by for striped flannel shirts and shrouds and flowery blouses, and bellows to himself in the darkness behind his eye.
I love Miss Price.
And sitting at the open window of Schooner House, blind Captain Cat hears all the morning of the town.
Maggie Richards, Ricky Reese, Tommy Powell, our Sal, look away, Billy Swansea with the dog's voice, one of Mr. Waldo's, Nasty Humphrey, Jackie with the snake. Where's Dickie Zarby and the voice from Teapot? Perhaps they got the rash again. Somebody's hit Maggie Richards. 2-2 on it's Billy Swansea. Never trust a boy who barks.
And the children's voices cry away.
That's
starts willy-nilly, knocking at Bayview, rat-tat-tat, very soft. The knocker's got a kid glove on. Who's sent a letter to Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard? But careful now, she swabs the front glassy. Every step's like a bar of soap. Mind your size 12s. That old Bessie would beeswax the lawn to make the birds slip.
Morning, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard.
Good morning, postman.
There's a letter here with stamped and addressed envelope enclosed, all the way from Miss Wells. A gentleman wants to study birds, and can he have accommodation for 2 weeks, and a bath. Vegetarian?
No.
You wouldn't know he was in the house, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard. He'd be out in the mornings at the bang of dawn with his bag of breadcrumbs, his little telescope.
And come home all hours, covered in feathers. I don't want persons in my nice clean rooms breathing all over the chairs.
Cross my heart, he won't breathe.
And standing on my carpets, and sneezing on my china, and sleeping in my sheets.
He only wants a single bed, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard.
And back she goes to the kitchen to polish the potatoes.
Captain Cat hears Willy Nilly's feet, heavy on the distant cobbles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Mrs. Rose Cottage. What's today? Today she gets the letter from her sister in Goslass. How's the twins' teeth?
Morning, Mrs. Rose Cottage. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard won't have a gentleman in from Whitwells, because he'll sleep in her sheets, and the twins have got to have her out.
Where to now? He's stopping at schoolhouse.
Morning, Mrs. Pugh.
There's no reply. She's down the coal shed, nagging the slack.
There's a parcel here for Mr. Pugh, Mrs. Pugh. I'll leave it on the doorstep. It's a book. Lives of the Great Poisoners.
That's Manchester House.
Morning, Mr. Edwards. Very small news. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard won't have birds in the house. But Mr. Pugh's bought a book on how to do it, Mrs. Pugh.
Have you got a letter from her?
Miss Price loves you with all her heart. Smelling of lavender today. She's down to the last of the elderflower wine, but the quince jam's bearing up. And she's knitting roses on the doilies. Last week she sold 3 jars of boiled sweets, half a pound of baobabs, box of jelly babies, and 6 coloured photos of the reggae. Yours forever, then 21 exits.
Oh, willy-nilly. She's a ruby. Oh.
Here's my letter. Put it into her hands now. Mr. Waldo, hurrying up the hill to the Sailor's Arms, pint of stout with an egg in it. Oh, there's a letter for him.
It's another paternity summons, Mr. Waldo.
Quick Sinbad, pint of stout and no egg in.
People are moving now, up and down the cobbled streets.
All the women are out this morning in the sun. You can tell that it's spring. There goes Mrs. Chen. You can tell her by her trotters. Off she trots, new as a daisy. Who's that talking by the pump? Mrs. Floyd and Boyle talking flatfish. What can you talk about flatfish? There goes Mrs. Dye-Bread One, waltzing up the street like a jelly. Every time she shakes it, slap, slap, slap. Mrs. Butcher Bynum and her pet black cat. It follows her everywhere, meow and all. High heels now, and in the morning too. That's Mrs. Rose Cottage's eldest, May. 17 and never been kissed. Ho, ho. Going young and milking Uncle
reminds me all the way.
Can't hear what the women are gabbing round the pump. Same as ever. Who's having a baby? Who's blacked whose eye? Seen Polly Garter giving a belly an airing. Oh, there should be a law. Seen Mrs. Butcher Binan's new mauve jumper. It's her old grey jumper dyed. Who's dead? Who's dying? There's a lovely day. Oh, the cost of snowflakes. Morgan's at it early. You can tell that it's spring. Somebody's coming. Now the voices round the pump can see somebody coming. Hush! There's a hush. You can tell by the noise of the hush that it's Polly Garter. Hello, Polly! Who's there?
Me, love.
That's Polly Garter. Hello, Polly, my love. Can you hear the dumb goose hiss of the wives as they huddle and peck and flounce at her waddle away? Who come to you wed? Which of their gandering hubbies moaned in Milkwood for your naughty mother in arms and thought here like a wardrobe love? Scrub the floors of the welfare hall for the Mothers' Union dance. Your one mother won't wriggle her roly-poly bum or pat her fat little buttery feet in that wedding ring early tonight. Though the waltzing breadwinners, snatched from the cosy smoke of the sailors' arms, will grizzle and mope. Too late, cock. Too late.
Well, the town's half over this morning. The morning's as busy as bees. Mrs. Oswald, Richard.
La-di-da.
Got a man in Wills.
Willy-nilly said.
Auntie got a telescope to look at birds.
Remember her first husband? He didn't need a telescope.
He looked at the man dressing through the keyhole.
And he used to shout, tally-ho!
But Mr. Oswald was a proper gentleman.
Even though he hanged his collar.
See, Mrs. Butcher Bynum?
She said Butcher Bynum put dogs in them inside.
Go on now, he's pulling her leg.
Now don't you dare tell her that. There's a dear.
What you think he's trying to pull it over he did?
Oh, now don't you dare. There's a nasty lot of hair when you come to think of it.
Look at that no good boy, oh no.
Too lazy to wipe his snout.
He's going out fishing all day and all he ever brought back was a Mrs. Samuel.
Been in the water a week.
And stick of dyed bread with 2 wives.
One for the daytime and one for the night.
Men are brutes on the quiet.
Outside, the sun springs down on the rough, tumbling down. It runs through the hedges of Goose Gold Lane, cuffing the birds to sing.
Spring with scream down Cockle Road, and the shells ring out. Sir this snip of a morning, wild winter warm. Street, field, sand and waters, springing in the young sun.
gossamer binding, schoolmistress like a spoon.
Oh, what can I do? I'll never be refined if I twitch.
Spring this morning, foams in a flame, Jack Black the cobbler, as he cobbles a high-heeled shoe for Mrs. Diebread too, the gypsy, but he hams it sternly out. There is no leg belonging to the foot that belongs to the shoe.
Sun and green breeze, ship Captain Cat, sea memory again.
No, I'll take the mulatto, by God. Who's captain here? Parlez-vous, jig jig, madame?
And in willy-nilly postman, dark and sizzling damp, tea-coated, misty pygmy kitchen, where the spitting cat kettles throb and hop on the range. Mrs. Willy-nilly steams open Mr. Mark Edwards' letter to Miss Mafanry Price, and reads it aloud to Willy-nilly by the squint of the spring sun through the one sealed window running with tears, while the bedraggled hens at the back door whimper and sniggle for the licorice bog-black tea.
From Manchester House, Llanegg up so prop Mr. Mog Edwards, late of twill, linen draper, haberdasher, market tailor, costumer, for West End negligee, lingerie, evening dress, trousseaux, tea gowns, also ready to wear for all occasions, economical outfitting for agricultural employment as speciality. Wardrobes bought, amongst our satisfied customers, ministers of religion, JPs, fittings by appointment, advertising weekly in the Twill Bugle. Beloved Miss Mafanry Price, my bride in heaven,
I love you until death do us part, and then we shall be together forever and ever.
A new parcel of ribbons has arrived from Carmarthen today, all the colours of the rainbow. I wish I could tie a ribbon in your hair, a white one, but it cannot be. I dreamed last night you were all dripping wet, and you sat on my lap as the Reverend Jenkins went down the street. I see you've got a mermaid on your lap, he said, and lifted his hat. He is a proper Christian, not like Cherry Owen, who said, you should have thrown her back, he said. The business is very poorly. Polly Garter bought 2 garters with roses that she never got stockings. So what's the use, I say? Mr. Waldo tried to sell me a woman's nightie. Outside. He said he found it, and we know where. I sold a packet of pins to Tom Messina's to pick his teeth. If this goes on, I shall be in the workhouse. Oh. My heart is in your bosom, and yours is in mine. God be with you always,
Mafanry Price,
and keep you lovely for me in his
Heavenly
heavenly mansion. I must stop now and remain your eternal Mark Edwards.
Then there's a little message with the rubber stamp. Shop at Moggs. Shop at Moggs. And rumbling willy-nilly,
Jockeys out again to the 3-seated shack called the House of Commons in the back, where the hens weep and seas in sudden spring shine.
Herring girls heckling down to the harbour, where the fishermen spit and prop the morning up, and I, the fishy sea, smooth to the sea's end as it lulls in blue. With lazy eyes, the fishermen gaze at that milk-mild, whispering water, with no ruck or ripple, as though it blew great guns and serpents, and typhoons the town.
Too rough for fishing today.
And they thank God, and gobbet a gull for luck. And moss, slow and silent, make their way uphill, away from the still, still sea, towards the sailor's arms.
And as they sit and sup and sigh, Mary Ann Sailors says very softly to herself, as she looks out at Llanegg Hill from the bedroom where she was born,
It is spring in Llyrregov, Children finally scamper rough and singing out of school into the draggle-tailed yard. But Captain Cat at his window says very softly to himself the words of their song.
Johnny Crab and Flossie Snail kept their baby in a milking pail. Flossie Snail and Johnny Crab, one would pull it out and one would put it back. Oh, it's my turn now, said Flossie Snail, to take the baby from the milking pail. And it's my turn now, said Johnny Crab, to smack it on the head and to put it back. Johnny Crab and Flossie Snail kept their baby in a milking pail. One would put it back, and one would take it out, and all it had to drink was ale and stout. But Johnny Crab and Flossie Snail always used to say that stout and ale was good for a baby in a milking pail.
The music of the spheres is heard distinctly over Millwood. It is the rustle of spring.
A glee party sings in Bethesda graveyard, gay but muffled,
Vegetables make love above the tenors.
and dogs bark blue in the face.
Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard belches in a teeny hanky and chases the sunlight with a fly whisk. But even she cannot drive out the spring. From one of the finger bowls, a primrose grows.
Mrs. Diebread 1 and Mrs. Diebread 2 are sitting outside their house in Donkey Lane, one darkly, one plumply, blooming in the quick, dewy sun. Mrs. Diebread 2 is looking into a crystal ball which she holds in the lap of her dirty, scarlet petticoat, hard against her hard, dark thighs.
Cross my palm with silver. Out of our housekeeping money. Ah.
Ooh, what do you see, lovey?
I see a feather bed with 3 pillows on it, and the text above the bed. I can't read what it says. There's great clouds blowing, and now they are blown away. God is love, the text says,
That's our bed.
and now it's vanished.
Oh.
The sun spinning like a top. Who's this coming out of the sun? It's a hairy little man with big pink lips. He got a wall eye.
It's Diebread! Whoosh!
The feather bed's floating back. The little man's taking his boots off. He's pulling his shirt over his head. He's beating his chest with his fists. He's climbing into bed.
Go on, go on.
There's 2 women in the bed. He looks at them both, with his head cocked on one side. He's whistling through his teeth. Now he grips his little arms around one of the women.
Which one? Which one?
I can't see anymore. There's great clouds blowing again.
Ah, those mean old clouds! Now the morning is all singing. The Reverend Eli Jenkins, busy on his morning calls, stops outside the welfare hall to hear Polly Carter as she scrubs the floors for the Mothers' Union dance tonight.
I left a man whose name was Tom. He was strong as a bear and 2 yards long. And I left a man whose name was Dick, big as a barrel whenever I love another man back, Johnny from the hill or Saving Jack, I always see as they do what they please, of Tom, Dick and Harry who were tall as trees, and most I think that I'm by their side, of little Willie Wee who down and died. Oh, Tom, Dick and Harry were the fine men, and I'll never have such loving again. But little Willie Wee, who took me on his knee, little Willie Weasel was the man for me.
Oh, praise the Lord! We are a musical nation.
And the Reverend Jenkins hurried on through the town to visit the sick with jelly and poems.
Town's as full as a lovebird's egg.
There goes the Reverend.
Says Mr. Waldo at the smoked herring-brown window of the unwashed Sailor's Arms.
With his brolly and his oars. Fill 'em up, Sinbad. I'm on the treacle today.
Silent fishermen flushed down their pipes.
Oh, Mr. Waldo.
Sighed Sinbad sailors.
I dote on that gossamer binding.
Love sings the spring. The best spring grass bounces and the birds bounce and land.
Gossamer Bynum, schoolmistress, spoon-stirred and quivering, teaches her slubberdigullion class.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was a lover and his lass, the hay, the ho, the hay, no, no. That other green hop, you big passage, springtime, the only pretty ringtime, when birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Between the acres of the ride, the hay, and a ho, and a hey, no, no. These pretty country folks would laugh.
Now. Your diction, children.
Oh, Mr. Waldo.
Says Sinbad sailors.
She's a lady all over.
And Mr. Waldo, who is thinking of a woman soft as Eve and sharp as sciatica to share his bread-pudding bed, answers
No lady that I know is.
the Sinbad sailors, deaf, with love unrequited, imagines on.
And if only Grandma died, well, I'd go down on my knees, Mr. Waldo, and I'd say, Miss Gossamer, I'd say,
When birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring.
oh,
The morning school is over, and the naughty, forfeiting children tumble and rhyme on the cobbles. Boys, come along to me! Boys, kiss Granny, she says, I'll be in a penny. Go on, Granny, kiss me in Goose Lane, or give me a penny. What's your name?
Billy.
Kiss me in Goose Lane, Billy, or give me a penny, silly.
Gwenny, I kissed you on Goose Dog Lane, now I haven't got to give you a penny. Oh,
Boys, kiss Granny, she says, I'll give her a penny. Go on, Granny, kiss me out to like a pin, or give me a penny. What's your name?
Johnny Christo.
Kiss me out to like a pin, Johnny Christo, or give me a penny, mister.
Gwenny, I kissed you on the leg of him, now I haven't got to give you a penny.
Boys, kiss Granny, she says, I'll give her a penny. Go on, Granny, kiss me if they could, or give me a penny. What's your name?
Dylan.
Kiss me in the tear splashed blush burns all the way.
It all means nothing at all. And howling for his milky mum, for her call of buttermilk, for her cow breath and Welsh cakes, and the fat bird-smelling bed, and the moonlit kitchen of her arms. He'll never forget as he paddles blind home through the weeping end of the world.
Then his tormentors tussle and run to the Cockle Street sweet shop, their pennies sticky as honey, to buy from Mr. Bundy Price, who is cockney and neat as a first-bottomed robin, and a small round buttock tight as cake.
Gobstoppers, big as wens, like rainbows you suck.
Humbugs, wine gums, a hot pen at the brandy ball,
Hundreds and thousands, licorice sweet as sick.
tooth-loosening toffee of tar,
Nugget to tug and ribbon out like another red rubbery tongue.
gum to gluing girls' curls,
Crimson cough drops to spit blood.
stale bags of black boiled marble,
Ice cream cornets, dandelion and burdock, raspberry and cherry.
pop goes the weasel, and the wind.
Gossamer Bynum, high heels out of school. The sun hums down through the cotton flowers of her dress, into the bell of her heart, and buzzes in the honey there, and cooches and kisses, lazy loving and boozed in her red, buried breast. Eyes run from the trees and windows of the street, steaming gossamer, and strip her to the nipples and the bees. She blazes naked past the sailor's arms, the only woman on the die-atomed earth. And Sinbad sailors, places on her thighs, still dew damp from the first man-growing cock-crow garden, his reverent, goat-bearded hands.
We don't care if he is common.
She whispers to her salad day himself.
I want to gobble him up. I don't care if he does droppy beaches.
She tells the stripped and mother of the world, big beamed Eve-hipped spring of herself.
Long as he's all cucumber and cool.
Sinbad sailors, watches her go by.
Demure and proud and schoolmarm in her crisp flower dress and sun-defying hat, with never a look or lint or ribbon. The butcher's unmelting, ice-cream daughter, veiled forever from the hungry hug of his eye.
Oh, gossamer Bynum, why are you so proud? Oh, beautiful, beautiful gossamer bee, I wish that you were for me. I wish you weren't so educated.
She feels his goat beard tickle her in the middle of the world like a tuft of wiry fire, and she turns in a terror of delight away from his whip and whiskery conflagration, and sits down in the kitchen to a plate heaped high with chips and the kidneys of lamb.
In the blind, drawn, dark drawing room of schoolhouse, dusty and echoing as a dining room in a vault, Mr. and Mrs. Pugh are silent over cold grey cottage pie. Mr. Pugh reads as he forks the shroud meat in from Lives of the Great Poisoners. He has found a plain brown paper cover around the book, sliding between slow mouthfuls. He sighs, spies up at Mrs. Pugh, poisons her with his eye, then goes on reading.
She swallows a digestive tablet as big as a horse pill, washing it down with clouded pea soup water.
Some persons were brought up in pigsties.
Pigs don't read at table, dear.
Bitterly, she flicks dust from the broken crib. It settles on the pie in a thin, nut rain.
Pigs can't read, my dear.
I know one who can.
Alone in hissing laboratory of his wishes, Mr. Pugh minces among the bad vats and gerbones, tiptoes through spinneys of murdering herbs, agony, dancing in his crucibles, and mixes, especially for Mrs. Pugh, a venomous porridge unknown to toxicologists, which will scald and viper-proof her until her ears fall off like figs, her toes grow big and black as balloons, and steam comes screaming out of her navel. You know best, my dear.
Says Mr. Pugh.
And quick as a flash, he ducks her in rat soup.
What's that book? Riot Rock, Mr. Pugh.
It's a theological work, my dear. Lives of the great saints.
Saw you talking to a saint this morning. Saint Polycarp. She was martyred again last night in Midwood. Mrs. Orban Morgan saw her with Mr. Waldorf.
Mrs. Pugh smiles.
And when they saw me, they pretended they were looking for them.
Says Mrs. Organ Morgan to her husband with her mouth full of fish as a pelican's.
But you don't go nesting in long combinations, I say to myself, like Mr. Wilder was wearing, and your dress nearly over your head like Polycarp do. They didn't fool me.
One big bird gulp and the flounder's gone. She licks her lips and goes stabbing again.
And when you think of all those babies she's got, and all I can say is she'd better give a bird nesting, that's all I can say. Isn't the right sort of hobby at all for a woman who can't say no, even to midgets. Remember Bob Smith? Not the telly bigger than a baby in a game of two. But they're nice boys, I will say that. Let's spit and laughter. Sometimes I like dead men, and sometimes I like our son. Who do you like next door, Colonel?
Oh, Bach, without doubt. Bach, every time for me.
Organ Morgan, you haven't been listening to a word I say. It's organ all the time with you.
And she bursts into tears, and in the middle of her salty howling, Nimble spears the small blackfish and pelicans at home.
The sunny, slow, loving afternoon moves and yawns through the dozy town,
The town that has fallen head over bells in love.
and I'll never have such loving again.
Mrs. Pugh, Polygarter, sings and longs.
Now when father is born on the first fair day, comes down from the hills to drink and be gay. Before the sun sinks, are lying their own, for their good bad boys from the lonely farm. But I always think, as we tumble into bed, of little Willie Willie, who is dead, dead, dead.
The sea, long, laps and dives in, with fishes sleeping in its lap. The meadows still as Sunday, high tasseled bulls go to daisy dingles, nap happy and lazy. Clouds, sad pillow on Schwarzwald.
Persons with manners
Snaps cold Mrs. Pugh.
do not nod at table.
Mr. Pugh cringes awake. He puts on a soft, soaping smile. It is sad and grey under his nicotine, egg-yellow, weeping walrus Victorian moustache, worn thick and long in memory of Dr. Crippen.
You should wait until you retire to your sty.
Says cold Mrs. Pugh, sweet as a razor. His fawning, measly quarter smile freezes. Sly and silent, he foxes into his chemist's den, and there, amid a hiss and Prussic circle of cauldrons and phials, brimful with the pox and the black death, cooks up a fricassee of deadly nightshade, nicotine, hot frog, cyanide, and bat spit for his needling stalactite hag, and bed nag of a poker-backed nutcracker wife. I beg your pardon, my dear.
He murmurs with a wheedle.
An icicle forms in the cold air of the dining vault.
Captain Cat at his windows, thrown wide open to the sun and clifford seas he sailed long ago when his eyes were blue and bright, slumbers and voyages, earrings and rollings. I love you, rosy Probert, tattooed on his belly. He brawls with broken bottles in the fug conveyable of the dark, dark bar, roams with a herd of short and good time cows in every naughty port, twines and souses with the drowned and blousy breasted dead. He weeps as he sleeps and sails, and tears run down his crop-blossomed nose.
One voice of all he remembers most dearly as his green buckets down. Lazy, early Rosie, with the flaxen thatch, whom he shared with Tom Fred the donkey man, and many another seaman. Clearly, and near to him, she speaks from the bedroom of her dust. That gulf and haven fleets by the dozen, and anchored for a little heaven of the night, but she speaks to Captain Napping Cat alone. Mrs. Probert.
From duck lane Jack. Quack twice and ask for Rosie.
Is the one love of his sea life that was sardined with women.
What scene did you see? Tomcat, Tomcat, in your sailoring days, long, long ago. What sea beasts were in the wavering green when you were my master?
I'll tell you the truth. Seas, barking like seals, blue seas and green, seas covered with eels and mermen and whales.
What scene did you say? Oh, whaler went on the blubbery waves between Frisco and Wales. You were my boatswain.
As true as I'm here, dear. You tomcat's tart, you land of a rosy, you cozy love, my easy, my true sweetheart. Seas, green as a bean, seas gliding with swans in the seal barking.
These were rocking my little deck hand, my favorite husband, in your sea boots and hunger, my duck, my whaler, my honey, my darling.
with you riding on it. Lie down. Lie easy. Let me shipwreck in your thighs.
Knock twice, Jack, at the door of my grave. Ask for Rosie.
Rosie Probert.
Remember her. She is forgetting. The earth which filled her mouth is vanishing from her. Remember me. I have forgotten you. I'm going into the darkness of the darkness forever. I have forgotten that I was ever born.
Rosie Probert!
Look! Says a child to her mother as they pass by the window of Schooner House. Captain Cat is crying! Captain Cat is crying. Of the silence and the echoes and the passages of the eternal night. He's crying all over his nose, says the child. Mother and child move on down the street. He's got a nose like strawberries, the child says, and she forgets him too.
She sees in the middle of the blue-backed bay no good boyo fishing from the Zanzibar.
No good boy gave me 3 pennies yesterday, but I wouldn't.
The child tells her mother.
Boyle catches a whalebone corset. It is only caught all day.
Bloody funny fish.
It is dye-bred too, gypsies of his mind's slow eye, dressed only in a bangle.
Ooh, she's wearing her nightgown. Would you like this nice wet corset, Mrs. Dybread, too?
No, I won't.
And a bite of my little apple?
She shakes her brass nightgown, and he chases her out of his mind. And when he comes gusting back, there in the bloodshot center of his eye, a geisha girl, crimson bound, in a kimono of bright silver.
I want to be good boyo, but nobody will let me.
He sighs as she rides politely. The land fades, the sea flocks silently away, and through the warm white cloud where he lies, silky, tingling, uneasy eastern music undoes him in a Japanese minute.
The afternoon buzzes like lazy bees round the flowers round May Rose Cottage. Nearly asleep in fields of clover, she listens to the nanny goats hum and gently butt the sun. She blows love on a puffball.
He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. The dirty old fool.
Lazily she lies alone in clover and sweetgrass. 17 and never been sweet in the grass. Ho ho.
The Reverend Eli Jenkins, inky in his cool front parlor or poem room, tells only the truth in his life work. The main industry, population, shipping, flora and fauna of the town he worships in.
The White Book of Claretta.
Portraits of famous bards and preachers, all fur and wool from the squint to the kneecaps, hang over him heavy as sheep.
to die of drink and agriculture.
In Salt Lake Farm, Utah Watkins takes his cattle on the hill as he holds them into milking.
Down you can't carries!
A cow kisses him.
Bited to death!
He shouts to his deaf dog, who smiles and licks his hands.
Go him! Sit on him, Daisy!
He bawls to the cow, who bars him with her tongue, and she moves with gentle words as he raves and dances among his summer-breed slaves, walking delicately to the farm.
The coming of the end of the spring day is already reflected in the lakes of their great eyes. Bessie Bighead greets them with the names she gave them when they were maidens.
Peg, Ned, Buttercup, Moll, Fan from the castle, Theodosia, and Daisy.
Look up Bessie Bighead in the white book of Clerregum, and you will find the one poor glittering thread of her history, laid out in pages there, with as much love and care as a lock of hair from a first lost love.
Conceived in Milkwood, born in a barn, wrapped in paper, left on a doorstep, big-headed and bass voice, she grew in the dark, until long dead Gomer Owen kissed her, when she wasn't looking.
Because he was dead.
Now in the light, she'll work, sing, milk, say the cow's sweet names, and sleep, until the night sucks out her soul and spits it into the sky.
In her lifelong love light, holily Bessie milks the fond lake-eyed cows, as the dusk showers slowly down over byre, sea and town.
Utah Watkins curses through the farmyard on a cart horse,
Gallop, you bleeding cripple!
and the huge horse neighs softly, as though he'd given it a lump of sugar.
Now the town is dusk. Each cobble, donkey, goose, and gooseberry street is a thoroughfare of dusk. Dusk of ceremonial dusk. Night's first darkening snow. The sleep of birds drifts under and through the live dusk of this place of love. Clerregum is the capital of dusk.
Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, at the first drop of the dusk shower, fills all her season doors, draws the germ-free blinds, sits erect as a dry dream in a high-backed hygienic chair, and wills herself to cold, quick sleep. At once, at twice, Mr. Ogmore and Mr. Pritchard, who all dead day long have been gossiping like ghosts in the woodshed, planning the loveless destruction of their glass widow, reluctantly sigh and sidle into her clean house. Your first, Mr. Ogmore.
After you, Mr. Pritchard.
No, Mr. Ogmore. You riddled her first. In through the keyhole, with tears where their eyes once were, they ooze and grumble.
Husbands!
She says in her sleep. There is acid love in her voice for one of the two shambling phantoms. Mr. Ogmore hopes that it is not for him, and so does Mr. Pritchard.
I love you both.
Oh, Mrs. Ogmore. Go, Mrs. Pritchard.
Soon it will be time to go to bed. Tell me your tasks in order.
We must take our pajamas from the drawer-marked pajamas.
And then we must take them off.
Down in the dusking town, Mayrose Cottage, nearly asleep in fields of clover, listens to the nanny goat's chew, draws circles of lipstick around her nipples.
I'm fast. I'm a bad lot. God till I blow up.
She lies deep, waiting for the worst to happen. The goats champ and sneer.
And at the doorway of Bethesda House, the Reverend Eli Jenkins recites just a record hymn till sunset follows.
Every morning, when I wake, dear Lord, a little prayer I make. Oh, please to keep thy lovely eye on all poor creatures born to die. In the evening at sundown, I ask a blessing upon the town, for whether we last the night or no, I'm sure is always touch and go. We are not wholly bad or good, who live our lives under milk wood. And thou, I know, wilt be the first to see our best side, not our worst. Oh, let us see another day. Bless us all this night, I pray. And to the sun we all will bow and say goodbye, but just for now.
Jack Black prepares once more to meet his Satan reward. He grinds his nice teeth, closes his eyes, climbs into his religious trousers, their flies sewn up with cobbled thread, and pads out, torched and Bibled, grimly, joyfully, into the already thinning dust.
Tugamara! Hop! Tugamara! Hop! Tugamara! Hop! Tugamara!
And no good boyo is up to no good in the washout.
Cherry Owen, sober as Sunday, as he is every day of the week, goes off happy as Saturday to get as drunk as a deacon as he does every night.
I always say she got two husbands,
Says Cherry Owen.
one drunk and one sober. And Mrs. Cherry simply says,
Then aren't I a lucky woman? Because I love them both.
evening, Sinbad,
Evening, Cherry. What'll we have?
too much.
Sails out. It's open.
Sinbad suffers to himself, heartbroken.
Oh, Gossamer, open yours.
Ask yourself, perhaps, and Christmas is all time.
Dusk is drowned forever until tomorrow. It is all at once night now. The windy town, the hill of windows. From the light waves, light of the lamps in the windows call back the day. The death which has run away to sleep. All over the cold and dark, babies and old men rise and lullaby to sleep. Should I be? The sunlight is coming.
unmarried girls, alone in their privately bridal bedrooms, powder and curl for the dance of the world.
Drinkers in the sailor's arms drink to the failure of the dance.
Down with the waltzing and the skipping.
Dancing isn't natural.
Righteously, says Cherry Owen, who was just down 17 pints of flat, warm, thin Welsh bitter beer.
Farmer's lantern glimmered, and sparks on Llanrego hillside,
Llanrego Hill.
writes the Reverend in his poem room.
Llanrego Hill, that mystic tumulus, the memorial to peoples who dwelt in the regions of Llanrego before. The Celts left the land of summer, and where old wizards made themselves a wife out of flowers.
In his corner of the sailor's arm, Mr. Waldo sings.
In Pembroke City, when I was young, I lived by the castle keep. A sixpence a week was my wages for working for the chimbley sweep. A 6 pence he gave me, not a farthing more or less. And all the fare I could afford was parsnip, gin, and watercress. Bread of heaven, bread of... I did not need a knife and fork or a bib up to my chin to dine on a dish of watercress and a jug of parsnip gin. Did you ever hear of a growing boy to live so cruel and cheap? On grub that has no flesh and bones, and liquor that makes you weep. Sweep, sweep, chimney sweep, I went through Pembroke City, wore and barefoot in the snow, till a kind young woman took pity. Oh, poor little chimney sweep, she said, black as the ace of spades. Oh, nobody swept my chimney since my husband went his ways. Oh, come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney. She sighed to me with a blush. Come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney. Bring along your chimney brush. Oh, 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 oh,
Captain Clark climbs into his bunk. Like a cat, he feeds in the dark. Through the voyages of his tears, he sails to meet the dead.
Dancing, Williams, Jonah Jarvis, Caliban Skull,
Rosie, with God, she has forgotten dying.
The dead come out in their Sunday best.
Listen to the night breaking.
Organ Morgan goes to the chapel to play the organ.
He plays alone at night to anyone who will listen. Lovers, brethren, the silent dead, tramp or sheep. He sees Bach lying on a tombstone.
Johann Sebastian! Oh, Johann Sebastian! Mighty Bach! Oh, Bach!
Well with you.
Says Cherry Owen, who is resting on a tombstone on his way home.
Mr. Mark Edwards and Miss Family Price, happily apart from each other at the top and at the end of town, write there every night letters of love and desire.
In the warm white book of Llanrego, you will find the little maps of the islands of their contentment.
Oh, my Mark, I am yours forever.
And she looks around with pleasure at her own neat, never dull room, which Mr. Morg Edwards will never enter.
Come into my arms. Épanoui!
And he hugged his lovely mother to his own heart.
And Mr. Waldo, drunk in the dusty wood, hugs his lovely Polygata under the eyes and rattling tongues of the birds and the neighbors. And he does not care. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
But it is not his name that Polly whispers. She lies under the oak and loves him back. 6 feet deep, that name sings in the cold earth. And I always think I can remember this weekend of little
Love me.
Let